Hey, Money Masters. Good to see you all today. Hope that you all are having an amazing day. And hopefully, we won't have any connection issues. So I'm looking at my thing there and it's showing me some low lines, but hopefully, this comes across okay. We are here for our 21st episode of The Wealth Seed. Thank you for joining me. I am Lexi Johnson. I am an international speaker and financial coach and consultant. So, if this is your first time watching, hey to you. Thanks for joining us. And please consider joining our Money Mastery for Her private Facebook group. There's information in the description for you to be able to do that. Well, listen, we're going to dig in. We're going to start, of course, as usual, with our crazy money story. And so, this story this week, oh, and let me say, if you're watching, hey, say hello. Let us know where you're watching from. All right, today's story comes from the category of kind of like weirdest ways to make money. Now, I've done this before. We talked about some weird ways to make money, but I came across one. I was like, oh my goodness, let me share this one. Okay. So this one occurred in Europe. Okay. And I'm not sure if it's still a thing now because this um, article that I saw it in was from 2016. I would imagine it's still a thing. But again, it took place in Europe. And I'm thinking for people, I mean, you can make money almost doing anything. So here goes. This one, you can make money painting butts. That's right. Butt painting, people. Okay. So this particular article talked about um, pictures of backsides that were painted, and they were painted with the national flags, okay, to help generate interest in Europe. Isn't that crazy, right? So listen, if anybody can make a living out of this, why not you? Okay. Or if you are already a painter, you're into that, maybe this is a niche that just might do it for you. I don't know. But you'll have to convince enough people to, drop their pants and let you paint on them. And you know what? I'm sure that here in the good old US of A, that you can find people who will drop their pants and let you paint on their behinds, because really that's not far fetched from a lot of stuff that we do anyhow, right? So that is today's crazy money story. Listen, if you're trying to figure out a way to make more income, that just may be it. All right. All right. I'm not doing it, but there's a market for everything. Okay. And I mean everything. All right. So today, what we're going to be talking about is we're talking about retirement. And what are we talking about retirement specifically? We are talking about the fact that retirement is not an age. So, what is it really, right? Because oftentimes, and we think it's an age because that's the way we've been conditioned to think, right? And we've been conditioned to think that retirement doesn't take place before age 65, age 72 in some cases, because they continue to raise the retirement age. And so, what is it really, right? So, check it out. Retirement is not an age. Let me tell you what retirement truly is. Retirement is the point at which you reach financial freedom, right? And you have options. You can continue to work if you want to. You don't have to work if you don't want to, right? It's the place where you have financial freedom and you have options. Well, what is financial freedom, Lexi? I'm so glad you asked, right? So, financial freedom is not simply just doing what you want to do when you want to do it, how you want to do it, right? Although it includes all that. But it matters what money you're doing that off of, right? If you are doing that off of active income, that's not financial freedom, okay? Because that means that you are still showing up to work in some way, okay? So whether it's a 9 to 5 or whether it is a business that you run, but you are still personally showing up, that is not financial freedom, okay? Financial freedom is when you can live off of your interest, okay? No longer active work. Maybe it's passive things that are going and generating you interest income. And that's what I want to talk about today. Living off of your return on investment, okay? Living off of your interest, living off of your ROI. And this is a concept that we don't hear talked about much, right? All we hear about is go to work, work a good 40 years, right? Then retire. But no one ever talks about, well, in the general circles, I should say, no one ever talks about living off of return on interest or return or ROI, return on investment. Nobody ever talks about that. Okay. In the general circles, you can go to schools, they're not going to be talking about it. Churches surely aren't going to be talking about it. Your general, parents, grandparents, are not going to be talking about it. These conversations are only taking place where people understand wealth. Okay. And so let's talk about that today, because your goal shouldn't be retirement. Your goal should be living off of your ROI. Okay. And how do you get to that point? And it's not about age. It really is about making good choices, a strategy that you've put in place to make sure that you can do that. And again, it really isn't about age. Okay. All right. Now, so let's talk about it. What you want to do is build a portfolio that produces enough passive income that covers your living expenses, your basic living expenses. If you're a person who likes to travel and likes to do all of that too, then you might consider not only your basic living expenses, but also the other things that you would like to do. But let's just keep it simple and say basic living expenses. Okay. So you get to a point where your monthly bills, your utility bills, car notes, whatever it is, whatever obligations that you have, monetary obligations that you have monthly, are being paid by passive income. Okay. Some people think that just because they get to a point where they can save up $1 million, that means that they can retire. And that's not the case. Can we just do some simple math, right? Because I don't know why people think if they get to $1 million that they've arrived, right? If you do some simple math, right? And let's say you got to $1 million, you're like, I can retire now. And you do the simple math, that $1 million is going to last you 20 years. Okay. Less, because we're not even talking about the taxes that'll be taken out. Okay. So I'll say 20 years, but know that it can be even less than that, really and truthfully, if we're thinking about taxes, because likely wherever you have saved the $1 million is an instrument in which will be taxed, right? So 401ks, your traditional IRAs, those types of things are, you put monies in before taxes. And so at some point you got to pay taxes. And so you pay taxes on the back end when you begin to take that money out, right? And so, and then the other piece is that with those types of instruments, there are limitations, right? You can't live off of that money before age 59 and a half without it getting taxed and penalized. Okay. So we have got to expand our minds as it relates to what all this means. First of all, okay, passive income, finding ways to do that, which I'm not necessarily here to talk about that today. But once you've done that, then again, understanding that it's not just $1 million, right? When you get to $1 million, then you've got to find ways to even continue to flip that money, if you will. Okay. So it doesn't stop when you get to $1 million. Okay. All right. So how do you live off your ROI? All right. Well, First of all of us start out, we have to live off of some type of active income. Okay. But we need to take a portion of that active income. And if you've heard me talk about allocations, all right, and you heard me last week, I talked about paying yourself first, right? You take a portion of your income and you're putting it away in instruments um, that will compound. Okay, so you have some compound interest. Some of those instruments, as I mentioned already, you're not going to be able to touch until 59 and a half, but there are other vehicles, other ways that you can invest and you can realize the return right away. Okay, whether they're dividends, whether it's interest, whatever the case may be, right? So you have to, first of all, understand your income, what's coming in, what's going out, make sure that you are allocating, okay? And then taking those at what you've allocated, investing them in a variety of vehicles that are going to help you that are going to compound, right? Have compound interest. And then really taking a look at the vehicles that will allow you to make passive income. So what does that mean? Passive income means this is income now. Well, what can you do with passive income? That's the question, actually. This is interest income that you can take, and now you can pay your monthly bills. Okay. And so start small, right? Start with, hey, is there something that I can do where I can just pay my utility bill every month on my ROI, right? Just test it out. And I guarantee you, as you test it out, you're gonna be like, well, if I can pay my utility bill with ROI, then I can pay all my bills with ROI, right? And so you have to, learn what amount of money you need to make and put up to make that interest, and what type of vehicle to put it in so that you can live off of that money before age 59 and a half. Okay. And then the other piece of, is understanding taxes and all that. We're not going to get into all that today. I just want you to understand the concept of living off of your return on interest. Okay. That is what I want you to understand. And I want you to know that it is possible. There are vehicles out there that make it possible. Some of you have savings, particularly savings in a bank. Some of you have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000. Some of you, even more, have this money that's just sitting in the bank, and it is not gaining any interest. None. Okay. And the problem with that, you might say, well, what's the problem with that? At least I know it's there and I'm not losing it. Well, you may not be losing that $30,000, but you are losing spending power, because as we know, the cost of things today will not be what they cost tomorrow. Tomorrow it will be higher. Okay. And so that 30,000 today will not spend the way tomorrow. Okay. In the same way, it's not going to be able to buy as much. You lose spending power. So when I'm working with my clients, I typically advise them, if they've got quite a bit of money in a savings that's not yielding any interest, I will have them take a portion of that. So remember, I'm not one who says take it all out and put everything into, all eggs into one basket, right? Nope. You will still have a portion there. And you might say, well, how much? It depends, right? Everybody's situation is different. So I can't really say to you like how much that would be. But let's just say for sake of this example, I'll tell the person, hey, take a third of that out. Let's put it in a vehicle that's going to generate interest, that's going to compound. Okay. And let's say it can compound weekly, because there are things out there that can do that. All right. Eventually, what you'll find is that the portion that you took out and put into this vehicle that can compound weekly will surpass what you have in that bank pretty quickly. Okay. And so That's what we need to get smart about doing. How can I find these vehicles where I can invest that's going to give me um, a return on interest that I can actually live off of now? If I wanted to, I don't have to wait until age 65 or age 72 or even longer, right? So many people, I want you, so many people work and work and work and work until they die, literally, right? Because they have to continue to pay bills and they haven't really had much saved up in their retirement accounts, right? And remember, retirement accounts, they're great, but the yield interest on an annual basis. Okay, so we want to find something that is going to compound even faster. And again, those vehicles do exist. Okay, so once you take, now I'm talking, you have a portion of money, you have it in there, even if you just did like something small, $1,000, right? And let's just say that you found a vehicle where it will compound at least 2 to 4% weekly, right? We're talking about you making about $130 or $136 per month on that $1,000. $136 per month that you did not work for, right? You didn't have to do anything for. All you did was put this $1,000 in a vehicle that could return interest on a weekly basis. 130, and this is money that you can take out and use, right? This is again not like our IRAs or 401ks or things like that. So, but now $136. Well, for most of us, that pays some bill, right? Maybe it's the phone bill, maybe it's one of the utility bills, your water or something, but it pays a bill, right? And so, there's that. Or you can put that money in, let it compound over time. Later on down the line, maybe a year later, 2 years later, now you can start living off of the interest. You might say, well, Lexi, heck, if I can pay one bill, then I want to get to a place where I'm paying all the bills, right? So you take a portion of your money, you put it in this vehicle, and then you calculate out, okay, by this time it will grow to this amount of money, because we got to figure out how much money would you need to put into this so that it yields the return on interest or the return on investment that you want, that you can now take that and pay your basic expenses, right? Some of you, your basic expenses for the month are $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $8,000 a month, just depending on who you are, what you're up to, where you're going, those your basic, where you live, all of those types of things, right? So it is possible, and that is the mindset that we should have versus, okay, I'm going to retire. Retirement is at age 65 or beyond. You see the difference? When you start thinking about ROI, now you begin to allow yourself to have options way earlier than age 65. And you can still have those traditional investments, your 401k, your IRA, all of those things. And it'll be just nice added pluses, at that age, right? But develop. So if I had to put things in order and how you would implement this, number one, you need to determine, what are my expenses per month? Because some people can't even tell you, right? I'll ask you the question, well, what are your monthly expenses? Then they're trying to think about everything that they spend money on in a month, and typically will come up with the wrong number because they've never actually sat down and figured it out, right? We just spending money. We got no plan, no nothing. We just out here, right? So determine what your monthly expenses are, right? Then the next thing is, okay, to determine what vehicles can provide you that kind of opportunity where you can live off of the return on investment. So there are things like annuities, there are things like, so on the not so risky side, because there's a risk to all types of investments. You've got, things like annuities, and you've got even certain types of life insurance that can provide you that, right? Then on the riskier side, you've got things like trading, day trading, right? Whether you're trading um, paper assets or whether you're trading, options or whether you're trading crypto or whatever, but then you've got those things as well, right? So there are a variety of instruments that can be used, and we would have to determine, okay, what's best for you and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. You'd have to look at the rates of return, okay, the ROI, and then you have to determine, okay, using this vehicle or this vehicle, like look at two or three of them, right? How much money would I need to put into this thing so that I can yield the monthly amount needed to take care of my basic living expenses? And for many people, you may not be able to put in that lump sum right away, okay? But you start somewhere, even if it's starting with $500 or $1,000 or whatever, and you have a plan because you know you need to get to a certain amount. You let that $1,000 grow, right? And you can either let it grow on its own, or you can continue to, contribute till you reach that sweet spot. Okay, that's going to yield you the return on investment that you need. Okay, and you're going to realize that you don't have to wait until age 65, okay, to live off of return on investment. Okay, so we need to get out of this thinking that retirement is about age. It's not about age, it's about money. It's about what are you doing with the money that you have coming in. What choices and decisions are you making as it relates to investments that will allow you to live off of the return on interest or the return on investment? Okay, so again, it can be done through things like annuities, life insurance, day trading, real estate. A lot of different options out there, right? A lot of different options out there. But I want you to begin thinking about that and then reach out. Okay, if you do not have a financial professional already, if you have one that you like and trust, go and talk to them about this and have them help you figure this out. Okay, and if they can't help you figure this out, this is an issue, right? Like, I was speaking with one of my clients, and she was saying that, well, my advisor told me that it's just, it's impossible, right? That I can be done by 65. She's around 40 now. And they were telling her, well, it's impossible. Well, yeah, it's impossible through the instruments that they're using. It's impossible. Okay. But there are other things out there, right? So she can continue to do that, but there are some other things that she can do that can help her to realize her goal of retiring early, right? Earlier than age 65, maybe 55, okay, instead of 65. There are other avenues, other ways. There's always 101 ways to do something, right? And so I just wanted to get your minds turning. So go and talk to, if you have a professional financial advisor that you trust, or a financial coach or consultant that you trust, go and talk to them, right? And if they're telling you, it's impossible, right? Then that means they're not abreast or aware of everything that's out there. Okay. They can say to you, well, I don't know, 65, but we can definitely look at retiring early. There's other things, right? Because you don't know until you do all the math. But if they're strictly just saying no, it's because based on what they can offer, it's impossible. Okay. Based on what they can offer, it's impossible, because you got to remember 401ks, IRAs, all that stuff was set up so that you would save over that 30 to 40 year period that you're working. Okay. That's what those things are for. All right. But there are other things out there. So if you get that response, then that means you may need to consult with someone else. Okay. And if that's the case, then make sure that you schedule some time on my calendar. The link is in the description. If you're watching this on Facebook, the link is also in the comments, and you can schedule some time and we can have a discussion and talk some numbers that are customized to you. Okay. And talk strategy. Once we figure out, okay, how much is it? How much would you need to be making in ROI so that you can live off of that ROI, right? And then what are the instruments that can get you there? What are the vehicles, the investments that can get you there? Okay. So don't hesitate to click on that link, on my calendar link, and schedule yourself some time. And I look forward to seeing you, right? All right. That's our topic for today. What's coming up? Well, at the time of this recording, Christmas is coming up in a few days. I pray that you guys aren't out there making choices that are going to stress you out financially just a couple days after Christmas. Okay. I hope that you are beyond that, particularly if you've been following me for some time. I hope that you have gotten beyond the whole commercialism of Christmas, and that if you're participating in the whole gift giving and all of that stuff for Christmas, that you're doing that in a smart way, and that you are living within your means. Okay, that's my prayer for you. But so happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that good stuff, right? And what else is coming up? Well, the WellSee course online, just after sometime after the new year, you're going to be hearing about that, because we do that in the spring and fall. But guess what? You're also going to be able to access an on-demand version of it, which means you don't have to wait for me to offer it in the spring or in the fall. You can take it on demand, and it will be on Global Impact University's site. All right. So once it's up and there, I'll be sure to share all of the information, and then you won't have to wait for me to do it just twice a year, right? You can have access to it whenever you want. And so I'm really excited about that. What else is coming up? Or Money Mastery for Her private group. If you're not yet a part of the group, join the group right now while it's free. After January, there's going to be a subscription. It won't be anything enormous or nothing like that, something very small, but still, why not join the group right now while it's free? Invite your girlfriends to be a part of the group right now while it's free. Because after January 3rd, there's going to be a subscription. Those who are currently in the group will always remain free. Those who come into the group after January 3rd will be paying by subscription. Okay. Lexi, why did you move to that? As I've said before, I really want people in that group who are really serious about changing the face of wealth, who are really serious about living off of their return on investment, living off of return of interest. Those are the type of people that I want in the group, because those are the type of people that I can help, right? I want people in the group who are just flies on the wall, just, watching and, listening, but not actually taking action. And so when people are willing to put a little skin in the game, even as far as a little subscription amount, then they are probably people who are also going to do the work, right? So that's who we want in our Money Mastery for Her group. If you're not a part of the group, join right now while it's free. After January 3rd, there's going to be a subscription for newcomers to the group, okay? And it's still holiday season, so we still have 30% off of all of our Kingdom Economics Wear merch. Link is in the description, so go and, purchase something for yourself or for a friend or whatever the case may be. Let the world know that you are actively working on changing the face of wealth by wearing it on your clothing, right? We advertise everybody else's stuff. Let's advertise this for God, right? So Kingdom Wear merch, Kingdom Economics Wear merch, the link is in the description. And also, if you have a podcast or a show that you just started, looking for some global exposure for it, then we have 30% off all of our Legacy TV packages, and all of that is in the description as well. All right. So that's our announcements and all that great stuff today. Oh, final thing, our mission trip all of that is going well. We're full, y'all. I haven't announced it yet, but we are full. We're taking a team of 17 missionaries to Kenya next year. I'm super excited about that. And if you were not part of, the ones that are going, you can still support in many different ways, and we'll be letting you know how you can do that in the upcoming weeks and months. Okay. All right. Other than that, Merry Christmas. Have an amazing day. I'll see you all next time. Bye.